Hello and welcome to the Mostro podcast, where we delve into the fascinating nexus of music, technology, and the enhancement of creative industries in the digital realm. I'm your host, Kim Bingham, and I'm delighted to have Stacey Haber with us today. Among her many illustrious roles, Stacey is not only co-founder of the Web3 Music Rights Group, where we met, but she also lends her expertise as an advisor to Mostro Music. With over 30 years of experience, Stacey has left an indelible mark on the industry through her legal expertise, business acumen, and passion for music and innovation. Stacey began her career as a music industry lawyer, advising multi-platinum superstars and emerging artists. She quickly expanded her influence, becoming a prominent figure in both London and New York. Stacey is also a dedicated mentor, sharing her knowledge and experience with the next generation of artists and industry professionals. She was recognized by Rolling Stone as one of the music industry's leading experts. Our conversation today promises to be wide-ranging and free-flowing, exploring deep insights into the evolving landscape of creativity online and the many facets of Stacey's formidable career. Let's get started. Thank you so much for being here on the podcast, first of all, Stacey Haber.
No, thank you for asking me. I think I'm fabulous, and I'm really humbled to be here.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, we're off to a great start then. So I did prepare some questions in advance, and I would love to get started on your early career because you've got so many things that you've done and you do. You started your career under the guidance of Mark Stevens, CBE, at Stevens Innocent. What are some of the key lessons that you learned, the insights that you learned at that time, during that time, that shaped your career and your approach to the music industry?
Oh, quite a few, actually. Let me just start by saying, 40 years later, he is still my mentor. Whenever I have a question about who I am within the legal profession, who I am within the music industry, I go to him still. Every day I lean on him if I need to, and then I'll go away for months and I'll come back. And he is one of the people who pushed me to do everything that I wanted to do and told me I can. The most important thing he did for me was he taught me how to be me as a lawyer, as opposed to being a lawyer and trying to fit into whatever that mold was. He said, you're never going to fit in. You're never going to look and smell and talk like us. Just be you and do what you do. And every time I came back and I said, I just want to sit in an office and write things. And he said, no, go away. And then, out and I become appointed a judge. And I go, okay, I did that. I'm really accomplished now. Can I just come back and sit in a desk? No, go away. So then we do the Web3 Music Rights Group and we sort out all the music licensing for it, which is now getting codified. And the same with AI. So he has helped me be whatever I am.
Bravo, Mark. Yeah.
It was amazing.
Amazing. Oh, wow.
And he sees me as I am. He doesn't, he doesn't pull his punches with me. If he thinks that I have done something badly, so he's, his new firm, Howard Kennedy, it's not new anymore, but are my litigators. And when I bring something that I have not been able to close on my own and it has to go to court, he will look at it and he will say, this was good. This was great. This was robust. I wouldn't have done that. So
great. Yeah, that's all. Yeah. I mean, you're so, that's a valuable, ally and a colleague to have in life professionally, for so long as well. You're, it's rare and you're fortunate to have someone like that and of that caliber.
I am. Yeah, I agree. I'm very lucky. And the big takeaways were honesty and transparency. Because somebody will always find out if you're not honest and if you're not transparent. So don't even bother. And you get further quicker if you are. Mm-hmm. And always be up on everything, not just. So I'm a music lawyer, but he made me do divorces. He made me do criminal work. He made me do art. He made me do everything that came into the firm because he said you can't fully service a music client unless you can help all aspects of their life. So I learned it. I don't necessarily do it. I will I will hire an expert if it's something that needs doing, like shares and finance and sports. But I am the first port of call, and I will oversee the other lawyer.
Amazing. That's fantastic. Listen, I want to hear about a negotiation story that you have. Suppose I've heard something about which one? Okay. Well, I guess you get to choose, but this one seems to be involving a music client's appearance on The Simpsons.
I loved that one. That was so much fun. So one of the A-list clients of the firm that I was working at was in a super band on The Simpsons in summer camp. So go and watch the episode and figure it out.
Okay.
I'll tell you another funny story about that client. He was playing the Royal Albert Hall and beautifully, kindly, wonderfully gave me tickets. And my husband and I ran in on the train because I lived out in the country at that point. Got in just in time. Brilliant show. And then got the last train back. Not only was it the last train, we had a babysitter waiting. Came into the office the next day. I was like, where were you? What do you mean? He put backstage passes in. He wanted to meet you. Where were you? He's so angry. He feels really insulted. Shit, I didn't even know. I'm so sorry. I felt really bad, and I apologized profusely.
But of course, we understood. You had the sitter and the last train to catch. I mean, come on.
I would have paid for a private limo home if I had realized the chance to actually be in the same room and to say hello face to face. I mean, I paid any amount of money to not miss that. I just didn't have the smarts to read every piece of paper in the envelope. I thought it was, marketing.
Oh gosh, I know. Well, we're all in a mist. We're all like in this mystery and suspense, wondering who this famous person is. And I guess we'll invite the people listening to you to
That's right.
back to us and yeah, like you want to let us know. Okay, we're gonna move on to more wonderful things that you've done. Now, here's a question before we get into visions for the music industry and that, because that's actually a question I plan on asking everyone, that
Artist one.
Yeah, everyone that comes on this podcast. But as far as your experience with global icons and contract negotiations and all of that, what basic advice would you have for artists and managers in general in the state of things as they are right now? Is there anything?
Yeah, never forget that your worth to somebody, whether they're emerging or established or superstars, is your knowledge and doing good work. Nobody needs to be admired and respected and fawned over if you're going to screw up the work because of it. So it doesn't matter. Everybody gets treated the same way, and everybody is made to act towards me with the same respect. Nobody gets to yell at me. Nobody gets to tell me, do you know who I am? And because they don't, I always know who they are. And there's no difference in a negotiation for a superstar and an emerging artist, because it's always based on their leverage. So you use what you have and you do the best you can. One of the early things that I learned from working in-house at Jive Records and Zumba Music, I learned how not to be a great lawyer. I learned that trying to win the game of getting every change that looks bad, that seems like it's bad in the contract for the artist, actually hurts the artist's career. Things that you will hold out on approval for when they could have just done the deal in the turnaround time, you'll lose it because they don't have the time. It takes 2 weeks for them to ask you, you to ask the manager to ask the artist, and then send it back up the line. So I learned how to not push for things that weren't really untoward. And I learned how to help them do their job by making the contract fair for both sides. I also learned, don't go into it as an adversarial proceeding, because someone's coming to you with a new relationship. Why are you making it a fight?
Yeah, there's actually, well, I mean, there's, there are two views to negotiation. One is that it's a win-lose, and the other one is it's mutual consent. And mutual consent meaning that it can also be win-win. It doesn't have to be win-lose, or there's a certain amount of compromise on both sides. But when there's a one-upsmanship or power plays and things like that, they're also involved. And I think when the values aren't the same, don't necessarily jive going in the first place, it's really difficult to I think to get a fair consensus on both sides. And it
becomes evident quite clearly as well. Also, the people who negotiate the commercial terms of the deal usually aren't people who negotiate the boilerplate of the agreement, and so they have different focuses. But I think my job always is to foster the client's career and to make great relationships for them.
Okay, great. Well, so as you're talking about working in-house and then working more as an independent, and then talking about boilerplate contracts, then that could be eventually customized. Let's get to now moving towards the future and the fact that there are now avenues to negotiate new terms based on new technologies. If we're talking about AI, blockchain, Web3 Music Rights Group, etc. So this is where we get into the visions of what's been and what can be from your vast experience. If you could design the ideal music or creative industry, what would it look like? What changes would you implement to foster a better future? And you can start. Go ahead. Just go.
Yeah, I have so many thoughts colliding right now. First thing I want to say about Web3 is I don't want people to start talking about Web3. I just want it to be the norm. Nobody noticed when we changed from Web1 to Web2. I don't want them to notice that we're using Web3. Web3 benefits us, especially the little guy, in that everything stays on the blockchain. There's no loss of data. A bigger obligation on us for metadata in our own IP, but it stays there and nobody can change it. So it benefits everybody. And anybody who's resistant to it doesn't really understand it. My fairy magic wand waving for the music industry would make it so that everybody had a fair shake and that algorithms weren't self-serving. There's no gatekeeper to making independent music anymore. Not with the technology, not with the hardware, not with the release, not even with the marketing. So I'd like everybody to have a fair shake at being heard, and I would like no algorithms to direct away or to someone else.
Okay, so key change would be, well, first of all, so blockchain, music on the blockchain, and as the delivery system, and then review algorithms or change them or eliminate them. Those would be key changes. Are there others that you would see that could be changes in the industry without, or if you don't want to get yourself in trouble with your peers and colleagues, no comment. But I think Mark Stevens would probably tell you, speak.
I'm not afraid of anybody, but I would like to see a court system just for music and intellectual property. When people do something bad, unlawful with music rights, the time it will take to get through the court system is too long for anybody to be fairly compensated or undamaged. And judges don't really understand music. I mean, look how many revenue streams we have. Look how many different copyrights exist within music. They just can never understand it all. So if we had our own court system, I don't see why we can't. There's one for family law, there's one for criminal, there's one for corporate. We should have our own tribunals. It's not that difficult. It's a money problem. Like anything else, the government has a money problem, and that's why we don't. But I'd love to see that. And I volunteer as the first judge. I was a judge in New York City. Did you know that?
No, it didn't. How was that?
And so it was back in the 90s, after my daughter was born. Well, it started before she was born. I was pretty sure I was going to get fired from my job for being insubordinate because they wanted me to do things that weren't right. So I got a job waiting tables at night or on the weekends. And one of my regular customers, I'd see him online. I'd find out where he was going to be sat. I'd put his drink on the table before he sits down. Turns out he's a judge in this particular court in New York City, recommends me to the mayor. And I go through the whole process, and then I'm appointed. And that's how I left music the first time.
Amazing. Okay. That's okay. Do you have any stories about being a judge in New York City? In there.
Yeah, I've got my court case. What I've got FBI stories. I'm not spilling them here.
Okay. All right. Well, stay tuned. Stacey Haber, you are a woman of mystery. I gotta tell you.
I'm gonna get whacked.
Okay. Well, listen. I've got other questions I want to ask you about Web3 and music rights. So, you started a lot of, you've gone in-house and you've started a lot of organizations. You've been a part of a lot of organizations. Now, what can you tell me as far as your initiatives and where you are right now? What for you is, what are the priorities? What are the ones that are?
Can we back up to a sec? Web3 and music rights.
Please.
So Web3 Music Rights Group was co-founded by Deborah Manis Gardner and I. And the reason that we felt we had the right to do this and to tell everybody how to license music for NFTs and for metaverse appearances and other things was because it's exactly the same as sampling was in late 80s, early 90s. And we were part of that team in the States with all the business affairs people who set up that system. And it's still being used today, 40 years later, for the clearance of samples and interpolations for sampling. It's exactly the same. Copyright hasn't changed. Technology has changed. So you have to follow the same rules. And we already knew the process for the clearance. We knew how to draft the agreements and what the questions were that had to be asked based on the usage. So we just drew up this little matrix of, if you do this, you need this right, and you go to this person. For us, it was easy, but for everybody else, it kept using the phrase the Wild Wild West. And it pissed me off. Nobody's business. It's not the Wild Wild West. Copyright exists. The law exists. You just have to read it and apply it differently. That's not wild.
Okay. And so what's the state of things as far as those rights or those rules being applied to Web3 and blockchain right now, whether it's in the States or other countries? What can you say as far as Web3 music rights observation of the state of things and the future? What do you see? Where are things at?
So the clearance of music for Web3 is now the norm. We just told everybody how to do it, and now they're using our templates and they're clearing everything. Anybody who's not just hasn't been paying attention online. And they'll learn because somebody else will tell them. And so the Web3 Music Rights Group is now called the Music and Emerging Tech Group because we sorted Web3. So we've been lecturing on AI for a good part of a year and a half, 2 years. And now the US has codified everything we said by making people obligated to input all the metadata before they feed it into their learnings algorithm. So once you do that, you know what's been used when AI spits it out, and you know who the owners of that output is.
That's really important for those of us concerned about bias within AI. Absolutely, it's a major concern. Okay, and so, but getting back to the Web3 rights that you're talking about, that's those templates are being applied worldwide, or is it just, let's say, certain countries that are doing it?
It's being applied universally by everyone who has listened to us. I don't know everybody and what they're using. There are plenty of people who've never heard of me. So
it's a matter of time, people. You've been warned. Okay, and so if they want to find out, anyone listening that wants to find out more information about this can go to, where can they go on?
It's now called Music Plus E. And I'll have to get the website.
We'll put it in the show. events.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just us questions. We have AMAs regularly. We stopped up at the New Year, but we'll be starting again. And we'll have quarterly AMAs. You just come. You've been.
I have. So it's the same. It's the same WhatsApp. It's the same WhatsApp chat, right?
Oh, the Telegram.
The Telegram. I'm sorry. It's
Telegram. It's still called Web3 Music Rights Telegram. And if anybody can't get in, just let me know and I'll invite them.
Okay. All right. And I paid my membership to at the time, Web3 Music Rights website, but I guess it's changed. I'm a member inside it.
It will. Yeah.
So I haven't missed anything.
No, not yet.
Good. I think we still have like another 10 minutes or 8 minutes on this as far as my timer is concerned. So let's talk about some other stuff. I mean, do you have anything else you'd like to add as far as the vision for the music industry and changes? But do you have anything else you'd like to add in regards to that?
Or clear? It's not about the vision. I just want everyone to be clear that whatever we come up with and whatever changes, indies will figure out first how to monetize it, how to make it useful, and how to make it work for themselves. And then the majors will come in and own it, some way, shape, or form. And that's not a bad thing. You can't get mad at them for that. They have a lot of money at stake. They're businesses. They're obligated to not lose position in the company, in the industry. So instead of being mad at them, let them have it and move on to the next thing. Especially in hip hop, that's what we do. We innovate. We don't wait and do what the majors do. So look at it as them pushing you, like Mark pushed me, to do the next big thing.
That's fantastic. Very inspirational and motivating. Thank you. Let's talk about your personal projects and passions a little bit. You have so many different hobbies and talents. So, okay, we're talking about neighboring rights with theater production, your microbrewery involvement as well. What would you like to talk about all that, please?
Just preface it by saying most things I do because somebody else needed something done. So book publishing was because I had a friend and we started writing a book together, and then she stopped and said, "Oh, I'm too old. I'll never get published. Nobody will ever want me. Yada, yada, yada. You're really, really talented. Stop it." I said, "Okay, let's start our own publishing company." I can't do vanity. Okay. It's not Vanity Press if we're publishing other people as well. Okay. So after a year of her rejecting every idea, she said, "Actually, I'm not entrepreneurial. I don't know how to do I can't do this." I said, "That's okay. I'm going to do it anyway, because there are other people who need help, not just you." And so I did. And I learned how to do it by using my own IP, and I made mistakes. But how else was I going to learn unless I just jumped in? So, yeah, the only person I hurt was myself, and then I fixed those mistakes after everybody else was published. And it's still there. I mean, I just don't seek out new authors.
Right. Another skill arrow in your quiver, let's say.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the creative things. So, theater, doing the Edinburgh Fringe every year is because I'm totally besotted with it.
Right.
And I've worked with the same people since we started in 2019. And they're younger, most of them. And it's about their careers now. And it's about the writers whose careers I'm trying to jumpstart. If nobody has written anything, I'll write something. But I'd rather somebody else did. And I'd rather we get them, going in their careers. And I love that. It feels great. And then I get to act. This year, I'm going to be a 90-year-old acrobat who just will not take no about going back up on the trapeze.
Amazing. Okay. And so you're acting like you're going to be up on the trapeze, or are you actually up on the trapeze?
No. I just keep coming in every day dressed, ready to go up. And everyone is like, you nearly have to use a Zimmer frame.
That's great.
And I'm going, yeah.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I love that.
Me too.
So great. Okay, and I want to ask you about the microbrewery. Is that still part?
Again, that was one of my friends from Jamaica. I met him while I was at Jive. We did a deal for one of his artists, and we stayed friends. And he was microbrewing in Colorado, And he's saying, this is really good. This is the taste you're making people want. I said, okay, let's get bigger. So he did. He went out and he got us a deal with Coors. And we spent 2 years with them trying to perfect the recipe that was already perfect, but on a grand scale. So microbrew was perfect. Never came out. We walked away. They paid us, but we never had a drink. Well, I had lots of drinks, but they were terrible.
Okay, well, maybe I want, so if we wanna start a brewery,
Yeah,
we can do that, Stacey. We can
out of beer. That was started with Sire Johnson, who is one of the most innovative people in music and fashion. Every time I need something new, like a new idea, he's my go-to guy.
Wow, amazing. That's so cool. It sounds like you've had a panorama of people in your life that have been inspiring or sort of or very imaginative and creative and sort of unafraid. Yeah. It's really
My son went to LA and lived with him and worked with him. He runs a really big club there for 6 months. And it was transformational for him because obviously my son is part American. And he had this idea of what it meant to live in America and LA and everything. And he absolutely loved it. He thrived there. And then he came back when it was time to come back. And it was, just changed him as a man. So not only am I lucky on the creative front or on the work front, but people become family. And I love that.
Yeah, that's real. That's very cool. And I would ask you then, based on all of the work and the people that you've worked with across your career, would you say then that the connection with them beyond the work that you've done, is it based on their personal, it's just sort of personal values, or what is it the thing that kind of...
Very much. My personal and professional world is an ever-decreasing circle. So it's all about values. It's all about honesty, transparency, doing good for the world and the industry. And I'm really lucky to meet people. So right now, I can't take anyone on as a client if they don't come from somebody I already know and trust. And I've been really fortunate that the people I know and trust have found other people that they know and trust. So there is no client that I have to say, we don't behave like that. They already know, and they would never would.
That's great. Fantastic way to basically maintain a certain level of quality, decorum, courtesy, respect, and trust within your professional community.
Even our initial interactions through the Web3 group, I would come away buzzed by the things you said, the questions you asked, the things you wrote. I was just like, yeah, I like this girl. I want her in my world.
Thank you, Stacey. Oh,
welcome.
So pleased that you are along with me for this adventure. It's fantastic. Well, I think that we've done it. I think that we've done.
We do it again another time. Please.
Yeah, we'll do it some more. Yes. Thank you so much for being a guest, and for everybody listening, we are going to be including all of the fantastic links and things to what Stacey is doing in all the podcast notes. Thank you, Stacey.
Thank you too. It was fun.
A big thank you to Stacey Haber for joining us today. Be sure to keep up with Stacey's work as she continues to shape the future of music rights in the digital age. For more episodes exploring the intersections of music, technology, and creativity, subscribe to the Mastro podcast. Until next time, keep tuning in and turning up the volume on innovation.